What you experienced was beyond speed, beyond motion, beyond what the human eye can realize. Nevertheless, I assure you this. It was not unusual. It was natural as water flowing downward, as simple as a leaf falling from a tree. You see, for years, I watched martial artists stress on speed, quick punches faster, kicks quicker, motions continually faster, faster, faster. But they were like blind men, yearning for the sun, gazing everywhere. Except up, they sought speed in muscles, in tendons, in bone. But true speed resides in the spaces between thoughts. My buddies, what you observed was not the presence of speed, but the absence of slowness, not the increase of velocity, but the elimination of resistance, not the force of movement, but the surrender to emptiness. Think about water when you pour it. Does it attempt to flow? Does it strain to move? Does it contract its muscles, prepare its posture, summon its energy? No, it's simply flowing, since that is its essence. Your body, your spirit, they contain this same essence, but we have buried it under layers of cognitive stress and false information. What I am going to share with you was formerly regarded forbidden, not because it was hazardous, but because it endangered everything. The ancient masters held sacred, they constructed their temples of technique, its mounds of methods. But I learned that true speed demands no temple. It requires demolition, the demolition of everything you believe you know about movement today. I will show you how to unlearn slowness, how to remove away the armor that you believed defended you, but only weighed you down, how to return to that pure state where movement is not manufactured, but simply allowed to exist. This is not a technique to master, but a reality to comprehend, not a skill to gain, but a freedom to rediscover, not a place to achieve, but an origin to reminder. Are you prepared to unlearn everything, to empty your cup entirely, to learn that the greatest speed comes not from the perfection of technique, but from the perfection of freedom? Then let us begin, and remember the cup must be empty before it. May be filled, my friend. Take this glass of water, look at it, really look at it. See how the water sits there, totally still yet ready to move in any direction, without hesitation, without planning, without thinking. Now, observe closely as I pour it. See how it flows. It doesn't try to be swift, doesn't prepare to move. It doesn't tense, rise, or gather its strength. It just moves. This is the first and deepest truth about speed, that I learned. Genuine speed is not formed. It is expelled when you punch, when you kick. Are you like this water? You like a rock forcing your way through air. Most martial artists are rocks. They grow themselves into harder, heavier, stronger rocks. They strive to break through obstacles with power, with tension, with effort. But speed, genuine speed, cannot exist where there is tension check. The water again. When I move the glass, does the water resist? Does it fight again? The notion, no. It adapts quickly, flawlessly, totally. This is not simply a demonstration, my friend. This is the underlying idea of ultimate speed, you see. For years, I trained traditionally. I built my speed like everyone else, through repetition, through force, through will. Nevertheless, one day I had a tremendous epiphany. I was not too slow because I lacked speed. I was too sluggish because I was battling against myself, every muscle tight, every step prepared, every stroke calculated. I had become a prisoner of my own striving. The river showed me the truth. Water doesn't flow quickly or slow. It flows exactly as it must. When it falls at a considerable height, it moves with incredible speed. When it meanders through a nice brook, it goes slowly, yet notice the water itself doesn't change. Only its expression changes. This is the secret to traditional martial arts, miss. They teach you to be fast. I teach you to be fast. I teach you to be like water that can drip so quietly it calms a kid to sleep, or water that can burst through solid rock. The speed is not boosted. It is uncovered. It is not created. It is released. Look at how the water moves to fill every area, how it seeks every opening, how it adjusts to every container. This is not intellect. This is not talent. This is its nature, and this same tendency lies within you, buried by years of trying to be speedy, instead of allowing yourself to flow when I speak of being like water. I am not speaking in metaphors. I am revealing the very nature of speed itself. Water informs us that true speed comes not from trying to be speedy, but from deleting all that makes us slow, every stress, every thought, every ease, every thought, every episodes of speed. The glass of water in my hand offers more wisdom regarding actual speed than all the training manuals ever written, because water doesn't attempt to be anything, it simply is. And in that basic reality lies the secret of limitless speed. Let me reveal something I've never spoken of before, a moment of failure. It became my biggest teacher. You see, in Hong Kong, I was known as the young master, the prodigy. I assumed I had reached true speed. I was wrong. It was a warm evening in my old training hall. The air was dense with incense and the weight of history. A visiting master had come, an old guy, looking feeble, his hands nailed like old tree roots. I was to exhibit my skills, my pride, my arrogance. They blinded me. I rushed into my swift, fastest combo. Moves I had honed over thousands of hours, movements that had never failed me. Then something extraordinary happened. The old master, he didn't block. He didn't evade. He just was not there yet. He hadn't moved, or rather he had moved so effortlessly that my eyes, trained as they were, couldn't understand it. 3 times I attacked, 3 times I discovered nothing but empty air. My speed, which I had imagined unstoppable, seemed childish, crude. I was running fast. Yes, yet I was struggling against myself, against the air, against reality itself. The old master, he simply allowed himself to be wherever my fist. Wasn't that night I couldn't sleep, the humiliation burned? But more than that, a question burned deeper. What had I witnessed? It wasn't speed as I understood it. The old master had transcended speed itself. I spent the next weeks in deep contemplation. I would sit for hours watching leaves fall, noticing insects fly, studying how clouds moved over the sky. Nature became my instructor, and slowly the reality revealed itself. I had been like a painter who only used red, thought he had mastered color. But true speed wasn't about moving quicker. It was about understanding that movement itself was simply the surface of something far deeper. The breakthrough came unexpectedly. I was practicing late one night, pushing myself to be faster, harder, stronger, fatigued. I crashed against the wall, and in that moment of full surrender, I felt it, the absence of effort, the breakdown of intention, the release from the mere wish to be fast. I stood up, and for the first time in my life, I moved without trying to motion. My body became like empty space, expressing itself without resistance, without consideration, without the burden of speed or slowness. I had finally realized what the old master had shown me, that true speed, not something you accomplish, it's something you uncover when you peel away everything that is not necessary, that failure in the training hall. It wasn't a defeat, it was a gift. It destroyed my illusions and drove me to rebuild my understanding from nothing sometimes. My friend, our greatest moments of enlightenment come disguised as our gloomy, darkest times of doubt. This is why I share this story with you. Because to discover true speed, you must first be willing to loose everything you believe you know about it. Just like I did that muggy evening in Hong Kong when an ancient master taught a young Bruce Lee that he knew nothing about speed at all. Now, my friend, I want you to do something with me. Raise your hand in front of you. Don't think about it, just it did. You realize that movement was beautiful, effortless, natural. You didn't plan it. You didn't calculate the angle. You didn't actively stimulate each muscle. You simply moved. This is your birthright. This is the speed that dwells within you, that has always been within. You see what occurs. Now attempt to move your hand with greatest speed experience, that feel how the very endeavor to be swift made you slower, the strain, the preparing. The notion, all of these are chains we set upon our natural movement. Think of when you touch something hot, your hand moves away with incredible speed. No training required, no preparation needed, no planning involved. This is pure natural speed. Your body knew exactly what to do, and it executed it brilliantly. Yet here is the significant truth. This speed is not reserved for crises. It is your natural state concealed beneath layers of thinking. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the air on your skin now, without opening your eyes. If I were to tell you a fly just landed on your nose, your hand would know just how to reach it. Flawless speed, perfect accuracy. Your body knows the way it has always known, the way you view from the moment you were born. You possessed speed that would make the finest martial artists envious. See a baby etch its mother's finger. The action is instantaneous, flawless, total. No one taught the infant this speed. No one trained it. This is what we had before. We learned to be slow. Let me show you something else. When I snap my fingers near your face, you blink. That blink is faster than any punch. I can throw quicker than any kick you will ever witness, and you didn't develop. This speed, it was given to you. It is natural. It is poor. It is what remains when there is no interference. Your body is a warehouse of tremendous speed. But we have become like a rich man who lives in poverty because he had forgotten about his fortune. We search outside for what we already own within. Try to add speed while we should be removing slowness. Consider of how swiftly thoughts go across your head. One moment you're here, the next you're remembering a childhood memory. Then you're arranging tomorrow's meal. This immediate movement, this effortless flow, this is your genuine nature. Your body is capable of this same immediacy. Yet here is the terrible fact: we have learned to be slow. Every time we consider about going, every time we prepare to be fast, every time we try to add speed, we go further from our natural state. The mind that says I must be fast is the same mentality. It creates slowness. Remember that hand you raised without thinking. Beautiful, exquisite, effortless movement. That is not the beginning of the voyage, my friend. That is the destination. What I teach about speed is not about obtaining something new. It is about returning to something ancient, something you have had all along. Your body knows speed like water knows how to flow, like fire, knows how to burn like the wind, knows how to soar. Your sole duty is to avoid meddling with this inherent intelligence, to unlearn the slowness that idea has caused. Glance at your hand. Again, my friend, make a fist, squeeze it as tight as you can, tighter, even tighter. Now attempt to move that fist with speed. Feel how the identical tightness that you think gives you power actually imprisons you. This is not simply physical strain. It is the physical representation of your mind's opposition to natural movement. Remember our water in the glass. When I throw a barrier in its way, the water doesn't resist. It doesn't stiffen up. It doesn't try to force its way through the water, merely finds the place where there is no obstacle. This is not wisdom, it is nature. Your true speed has this same nature, but we have hidden it under mountains of strain. Of thinking of trying, let me share with you what I call the 3 limits of speed. The first is physical tension, the tightness in your muscles, the stiffness in your joints, the rigidity in your posture. This is like attempting to run through water while wearing heavy armor. You might move, but you will never know actual speed. The second barrier is mental tension, the idea before the movement, the planning before the action, the intention before the statement. This is like attempting to catch the wind with a net. The very act of striving ensures your failure. When you think about becoming fast, you have already caused delay. The third obstacle, and maybe the most severe, is spiritual tension, the detachment from your own natural speed. This is like a bird that has forgotten it can fly, walking everywhere. It goes, the speed is there, the ability is there, but the memory is faded. These boundaries, they are not walls, must be broken through. They are illusions to be seen through as you squeeze your fist with all your might. You are not generating strength, you are creating jail bars. When you concentrate about how to go rapidly, you are not ready for speed, you are ready for slowness. Think of this time right now. In the time it takes for you to decide to relocate, you could have already moved. In the time it takes to prepare for speed, you may have already stated it. In the time it takes to think about being fast, you may have already been there. The water doesn't pick its route. It expresses its nature. The lightning doesn't determine where to strike, it follows the path of least resistance, your true speed. Your natural speed is exactly like this. It doesn't need your permission. It doesn't need your preparation. It doesn't need your tension. When you grasp this, honestly comprehend. This something spectacular happens. The barriers don't break. They dissolve. The tension doesn't release, it evaporates. The thinking doesn't stop, it becomes unnecessary. What remains is pure expressiveness, pure movement, pure speed. This is why the greatest speed cannot be attained. It can only be permitted. You don't burst through obstacles. You realize they were never there, like a person in a dark room fighting shadows. When the light comes on, the fight becomes irrelevant. The limits to your speed are these shadows, and understanding is the light that makes them vanish. Now we enter the region where few martial artists dare to enter the gap between intention and action, and a vacuum where true speed is born. Stand with me in totality, stillness, the energy within you, not the energy of stress, but the energy of existence itself. In this stillness, there is perfect speed before the concept of movement. Before the desire for action, there exists a state of pure potential, like a lightning bolt. Before it strikes, like an avalanche. Before it falls, all speed exists first, in absolute stillness. Observe your breath, sense how it moves through your body without your command. This is the same energy that causes speed. It does not begin in the muscles. It does not start with movement. It begins in the head, nay, even before the mind. It begins in the space where thought and energy are one. Most martial artists train their muscles for speed, but they never comprehend that speed is born in stillness. They fill themselves with technique, with effort, with intention, but true speed requires emptiness, like a vessel. The more you fill it, the less it can contain. Feel the energy circulating inside you, not by directing it, nor by controlling it, but by becoming aware of its natural flow. This energy understands speed that the conscious mind cannot grasp. When you throw a punch with thought, you employ muscle. When you throw a punch with energy, you show the speed of life itself. Your ideas, they are like ripples on the surface of a deep lake. They seem to be movement, but they just disturb the surface. Genuine speed originates from the depths where no ripples occur. This is why speed cannot be idea into reality. It must emerge from the area beneath mind. Examine this fundamental truth. Between the moment you decide to move and the moment you move, an entire universe of time exists. This gap, this area between purpose and action. This is where fights are won and lost. Here is where true speed lives or dies in your stillness right now. You are closer to ultimate speed than any amount of movement could bring you, because in this stillness you exist in pure potential, like an archer's bow before release. Spring before it uncoils, you are speed ready to express itself. The link between mind and speed is not what you have been told. Thought does not produce speed, it only recognizes speed that already exists, like the moon reflected in water. We confuse the reflection for the source. Your speed is not created by your mind. Your mind merely witnesses the pace. That is your true nature. This is why meditation is not different from martial arts. This stillness we share now is not the reverse of speed. It is speed in its purest form. When you comprehend this, genuinely understand this, movement becomes effortless because it originates from stillness, not from trying. Let this sink deep into your consciousness. Before every movement, there is a moment of perfect stillness. Before every technique, there is a space of pure potential. This is not philosophy. This is the science of speed at its most speed at its most fundamental level. The slower you may access this place, the faster your expressiveness will be. Your thoughts must become like the surface of a still lake, reflecting everything, perturbed by nothing. Then, and only then, will you recognize that speed is not something you do. It is something you allow to happen via you time most believe it runs like a river, steady and constant. But I have realized something important. Time is like water in your hands. It takes the shape of your perception in combat, in life. There are not minutes or seconds, there are just moments. And between these moments lie endless spaces. Have you ever noticed how time seems to slow during moments of intense action? An automobile swerving towards you, glass falling from your hand. Abruptly, the world moves in slow motion. This is not an illusion. This is a glimpse of the truth about time and speed most martial artists aim to be. Faster than time, they practice to move faster, strike faster, react quicker. But this is like attempting to escape your own shadow. Genuine mastery comes not from moving quicker through time, but from extending the intervals between moments. Think of a highly talented boxer. When you watch them dodge a punch, it appears they have supernatural speed. However, let me show something. They are not moving faster than their opponent. They are moving earlier. They exist in the gap between moments where time itself becomes fluid. In many years of investigation, I realized that speed is not about how rapidly you can travel through time, but how well you can step outside of. Because when you throw a punch at full speed, there are 1,000 imperceptible seconds between the start and end of that movement. Most martial artists live only at the beginning and conclusion, but genuine mastery dwells in all the places between. Here is a reality that will revolutionize your understanding. Speed does not exist in time. Speed resides in the spaces between time, just as music is not in the notes, but in the stillness between them, just as words are not in the letters, but in the intervals between them. When you witness a good martial artist, you are not observing someone moving faster than others. You are witnessing someone who has learned to expand the times to exist in the spaces that others pass through. Unconsciously, they have learned to make their habitat in the vacuum between seconds. This is why actual battle speed cannot be measured by a stopwatch. The clock me movement through time. Genuine speed transcends time itself. It lives in a realm that conventional awareness cannot fathom. Contemplate this. Between the instant your opponent decides to attack at the minute their attack begins, there is a space between their desire and their action. There is a void. This space, this void, this space, this void. This is where true speed exists. This is where wars are won before they begin. The highest manifestation of speed is not about moving faster than your opponent. It is about living in moments. They cannot perceive when you master this. You will realize why the ancient masters said the supreme fighter strike while the enemy is still in preparation. This is not mysticism. This is the science of perceptual time, just as Einstein demonstrated that time is relative to the observer. I have discovered that in fight, time is related to consciousness. The more conscious you become, the more time reveals its secret. Remember, recall, speed does not dwell in the tick of the clock or the blur of movement. Speed dwells in the intervals between moments, in the break between breaths, in the stillness between ideas, in the emptiness between intention and action. Master these areas, and you master time itself. Now, my friend, we are at the moment where theory meets reality, when the profound truths we've examined materialize in fight. This is where many practitioners get lost. They comprehend the fundamentals, yet they cannot bridge the gap to application. Let me show you how water produces lightning in real combat. You have no time to ponder about being like water, no moment to recollect principles. This is why we don't add these concepts to our fighting. We must become them. When I participate in combat, I am not Bruce Lee trying to be like water. I am water expressing itself via Bruce Lee. Observe what happens when I move with an opponent. Note how there is no preparation, no setup, no telegraph. Like electricity finding ground, my movements simply express themselves by the path of least resistance. This is not technique. It is reality in motion. The flow state that athletes talk about, that science seeks to measure, this is nothing but a return to your natural way of being. In actual conflict, you cannot enter the flow state. You must know that you are the flow state. The only thing preventing this realization is your desire to reach it. Here is how natural speed expresses itself in combat. When an attack comes, you do not block, and then counter, you do not see, and then respond. Seeing is responding. The gap between perception and action evaporates. You're moving and is born already complete, like lightning that appears everywhere at once. Most fighters want to improve speed by moving faster and faster. However, in real combat, true speed develops by reducing the needless. Every stress, every thought, every intention becomes an obstacle. Conflict becomes not an exchange of methods, but a flowing of pure statement. Recall our water in the glass in conflict. You become that water. When pressure arises from any direction, you are already going around it before the pressure is total. Not because you're fast, but because you're unavailable to slowness. Not because you conquer resistance. However, because you never consider resistance as real. This is why traditional martial artists frequently get slower as they gain more. Slower as they gain more methods. They erect walls within themselves, create barriers where none existed. However, when you comprehend real speed, every technique becomes not something you do, but something you allow to happen. In real combat, speed is not a weapon. You use it, is a reality you express like gravity. It simply is. You don't strive to make gravity work. You simply allow it to manifest itself through your movement. Genuine battle speed is precisely the same. Observe how, when I engage, there is no preparation, no gathering of energy, no hint of what's to come. This is not deceit. This is liberation from the very need. To prepare, every moment is complete in itself, needs nothing from the moment before, promising nothing to the moment after. This is the ultimate manifestation of everything we've discussed. In actual fight, you become speed itself, not swift or slow, not powerful or weak, simply pure expression of the moment. Like water flowing, like lightning hitting, like wind blowing. No effort, no resistance, no difference between purpose and action. The genuine, real secret of warfare application is this. You do not incorporate these ideals into your fighting. You remove away everything that inhibits these ideas from revealing themselves spontaneously through you. Battle becomes not a doing, but a letting, not a performance, but a revelation. And now, my friend, we come at the ultimate paradox, the last truth that encompasses all other truths. What I'm about to share with you might seem to contradict everything you understand about speed, about movement, about martial arts itself, but in this contradiction lays the ultimate wisdom. Watch me now. Observe carefully. What do you see? Nothing. No movement, no preparation, no speed, no slowness. I am simply here, this state of being. This is the ultimate strategy, not because it is complex, but because it is utterly simple. Not because it is something, but since it is nothing. The masters of old had a saying: the supreme art of war is to dominate the adversary without fighting. I tell you now, the supreme skill of speed is to arrive without moving. This is not a puzzle. This is not philosophy. This is the ultimate embodiment of all we have explored. When you actually comprehend speed, you realize that it does not exist, just as darkness is not a thing yet. The absence of light speed is not a quality, but the absence of resistance. The fastest sword stroke is not the one that cuts through the air most rapidly. It is the one that was already there. Go back to everything we've discussed: the river flowing, the space between times, the freedom from felt. All of these were pointing to one final fact. Genuine speed transcends speed itself. When you reach perfect speed, you achieve perfect stillness. When you attain perfect movement, you obtain perfect rest. Gaze at the surface of a tranquil lake. In its stillness, it instantly reflects everything: the birds soaring overhead, the clouds moving across the sky, the leaves falling on its surface. It doesn't try to reflect it, doesn't prepare to reflect it, simply reflects since it is its nature. This stillness, this immediacy and effortless responsiveness to everything, this is the speed I'm talking about in the highest expression of martial arts. There is no fast or slow, just as there is no high or low. No before or after. There is simply entire presence, perfect unity with the moment. When you do this, your movement becomes like the moon's reflection on water, appearing everywhere without going wherever. The ultimate paradox is this: true speed is stationary, true power is easy, genuine. Mastery is the lack of mastery. When you fully understand speed, when can stop trying to be fast and let yourself to be like calm water, responsive to everything, resistive to nothing, perfect in every instant. This is why the finest fighters look to accomplish nothing exceptional. Their moves seem simple, almost commonplace, yet they are untouchable, unbeatable. They have found that true speed is not about moving faster than their opponent. It's about being so entirely present that movement becomes useless. Remember my words: when you gain true speed, you will go like still water. Not because you have become faster, but because you have surpassed the very notion of speed. Not because you have learned to move more rapidly, but because you have learned to be totally present in the eternal. Now, this is the end of our adventure. But it is also the beginning. For in grasping this ultimate paradox, you begin a new journey, not toward speed, but toward stillness, not toward mastery, but toward naturalness, not toward something, but toward nothing. And in that nothing, dear friend, you will find everything.